Hello, I'm Crackshot. Welcome to another episode of Shot Chronicles. Today I'd like to discuss proper shooting stances. Now, everybody knows that shooting a gun, you have to have a very good foundation from which to shoot from. Your shooting stance is the foundation. It is the platform from which your bullets are launched. If you have a poor foundation, you will have poor hits on target. Just like if you build a poor foundation and you build a house on it, that house will crumble because the foundation isn't strong enough to support the weight. That same principle is what I'm talking about. Now, there's a lot of defensive shooters out there and a lot of instructors, weapons instructors, that take their students at the gun range and they drill in their heads the proper shooting stance, and that is wonderful. I'll go ahead and demonstrate what that shooting stance is. They want you to take your gun. Now, this is a trainer's and capable of firing. This is a real gun that I have converted to be a trainer. It has a dowel in it, a wooden dowel, and the firing pin has been removed so it can't fire. Now, what they want you to do is they want you to draw your gun from the holster. As soon as it clears the holster, let me get a little closer. They want you to draw the gun from the holster. As soon as it clears the holsters, go to this position. Once you go to that position, they want you to work your way to the center of yourself. Once they have you centered, they want you to lean out and aim and fire. But they also want you to take what they call a sports stance. That means basically your legs are going to be about shoulder width apart, right? You want to bend at the knees very deeply and lean forward. That kind of looks like this. Legs shoulder width apart, bend forward, bend your knees, and they want you to lean forward slightly so you can put most of your weight out there in front of the gun. What that does is it controls the recoil of the gun, so you're not all over the place. And that is great. And that's what they want you to learn. And it's a great concept. You will be successful at defending yourself if somebody attacks you in that shooting position. The only problem that I have with it is two problems. First of all, the people that are being trained to use that type of shooting position are law enforcement officers, SWAT teams in the military. That is perfect because every civilian wants to be able to shoot as good as these SWAT team guys. Problem is, those SWAT team guys wear body armor. That body armor has a steel plate right in front of them. That what it does, it's called a trauma plate. If the bullet hits that trauma plate, the energy is dispersed throughout the trauma plate so that they don't end up with broken ribs. The bulletproof vest stops the bullet, but it does nothing to protect your ribs from the blast, from the impact of that projectile. So when you are wearing body armor and you're out here in this position, if the bad guy shoots and the bullet goes underneath your hands, it hits you center mass, you're fine because you have body armor with a trauma plate. But the average civilian does not have body armor or a trauma plate. So they're going to die if they get shot center mass. Especially since the distance from the press plate to the heart is only maybe 3, maybe 4 inches max. If that, depending on how fat you are. Now, I have an alternative shooting position which came back from the Weaver stance. There's a lot of people who are going to scream the Weaver stance is not as good. Well, let's analyze that. When you use that shooting stance, that sports stance that they want you to shoot when you're at the Isosceles shooting position, and by the way, the Isosceles shooting position, if you were to look at me from the top, both my arms and my body create an isosceles triangle. That's where two sides are the same length and the third side is shorter. Well, the Weaver stance, you're standing bladed to the person. What it does to them is you hold your hand like this. One arm is fully direct and the other arm is slightly bent or up into your chest like this. So it looks either like this or like this. Let me turn around this way. You're either going to be like this or you're going to be like this. So depending on if you're right-handed or left-handed, you're going to take your weak side and point that weak shoulder to the target. If you're right-handed, your left shoulder goes forward and you're going to put most of your weight on your front leg and you're going to aim like this, in this position. This is the Weaver stance. If you're left-handed, it's going to look like this. Now, let's analyze that shooting position. When I'm in this position, what have I done? I'm going to have to put this gun down so I can show you. I've put my arm, both my forearm and my bicep, as protection for my heart. My heart is right here. Okay, it's not back there, it's up here in the front. So right up in this side. If you look at, throw imaginary line, my heart would be right here. Hits both my lungs and my heart. Now I understand an arm is not going to stop a bullet. But everything that bullet must penetrate through before it reaches your vital organs is advantageous to you because it may slow it down. You don't know what that bullet hit en route to get into you or how far that bullet came from. If you're this way, you have put one obstacle in front of your organs, which is your arm. Second thing you have done, you've reduced your target profile because this is a much easier target to hit than this. So, especially hit in the vital organs. So I've done two things. I've reduced my target profile to the bad guy, and I put an obstacle that bullet has to go through before it reaches my heart. The other thing about the Isosceles, the Weaver shooting stance is, when you are in a fist fight, let's say you're boxing, what do? Do you box like this? No. Boxers go like this because they are in a fight. Kids in grade school, they go like this. You teach your kid how to fight. You tell them, go blade it. This is a fight. What does this position resemble? Shooting position is a fight. Shooting, fist fighting position, boxing is a fight. If somebody comes at you with a knife, you're not going to go like this. You're opening yourself up. Yes, you're more maneuverable left and right. That's great. But you are presenting the bad guy a target if he's coming at you with a knife. When you're like this, you can deflect. You have this arm in front of you to deflect. It's like this. You can deflect and you can return fire. Now, can you run left or right? Yes, because most of your weight is on the front. And all you have to do is pick up your rear leg and run in that direction, or pick up your rear leg and run in that direction. So you can move back and forth. So in my opinion, the Weaver stance is more defensive than the Isosceles stance. The Isosceles stance is more accurate for laying down fire, but it leaves your vital organs vulnerable. The Weaver stance is a little bit less accurate, but with training you can master it. But you can still move left and right, unless you're not as anchored, because you have the ability to run forward, backwards. You can run that way, or you can just take a longer step in that way. Now the big thing about it is, these guys say that by standing this way, you're more able to move left and right. Okay, a bullet, let's say somebody's shooting at you with a 9mm, right? It's traveling what, 1,100, 1,200 feet per second? If he's shooting at you with a .22, it's traveling what? Anywhere from 700 feet per second to 1,000 feet per second. If he's shooting at you with a 40, you're looking about what? 1,400 feet per second, 1,500 feet per second. Who among us can outrun a bullet? No one. So if you cannot outrun a bullet, standing in the Isosceles stance or the Weaver stance makes no difference of whether or not you're going to get hit or not. Second thing I have to say, was probably the third thing by this point. Who among us stands their ground when shooting? More than likely, what's the most important thing in a gunfight? To shoot or to not get shot? Let that sit there for a second. If I return fire, exchange fire with the guy, we both get shot, I'm just as dead as he is. That doesn't do me any good. If I'm going to exchange fire, but before I exchange fire and the bullets start flying, I run away and go to cover. Maybe you saw a brick wall behind the car engine or something, and I could sit there and return fire from cover, hard cover, or from concealment. I stand a better chance of not getting shot. And isn't the whole purpose of surviving a gunfire, or a mugging, a gunfight is what I meant to say. Isn't the whole perfect to not get injured, to not get shot, to not get killed? So why would you stand there in a sports stance where you're exposing all your vital organs to the threat and you're anchoring yourself, very stable platform, just to be shot? Just food for thought. I'm not going to sit here and try to tell you how you should fight, but the people who are teaching these techniques are telling you that this is a fight. But they're teaching and they're telling you that the Weaver stand is great for target practice, but not great for a gunfight. Well, in the gun range, you're not fighting because the targets don't shoot back. In the real world, you are fighting because targets do shoot back. And your best bet is to run for cover while you're laying down fire. Once you get to hard cover, now you can sit there and get into any shooting position you want. More than likely, you're going to be crouched behind something. You're not going to be in the shooting position that your firearm instructor taught you to be. Just think about that. If you like this video, please hit subscribe. Also, comment and like. Help me grow my channel. I really appreciate you watching. Thank you so very much.